The 11th drill began the same way all the others had. Coordinator Vethalan called the room to readiness. The simulation board lit amber across every station and someone, I never caught which one, said in Vekthari, "Let's see how long the human takes this time." They didn't lower their voices. They'd stopped bothering with that around drill 4. My name is Dav Oral. For 2 years I'd held the scheduling post at Vekthari Joint Transit Command, a vast orbital depot where 6 species moved, cargo, personnel and diplomatic freight, through one of the busiest corridor intersections in the sector. The Vekthari ran the hub. We were, as they put it during my orientation briefing, a courtesy accommodation. 1 human, 1 post, 1 chair at the far end of the coordination tier. The drill was an emergency evacuation simulation. 14 active docking arms, 230 vessels in various states of load or transit, 11,000 souls aboard the station and the ships. The scenario: primary corridor failure, cascade lock on 4 of the main arteries. Full evacuation required inside 40 minutes. Every coordinator finalized a sequenced routing plan, and the simulation scored them on 3 variables: speed of finalization, percentage of vessels cleared, and collision incidents in the routing. The Vekthari were very good at the first 2. They finalized in 6 to 8 minutes, cleared 95% of traffic, and kept collisions near 0. I finalized in 18 minutes. This was the source of considerable entertainment. Vethalan didn't laugh openly. She was senior coordinator, and she ran a professional room, but I'd seen the way she filed my scores. Human lag, she called it in the after-action notes. The others were less restrained. Kale Vorath, the routing specialist 2 stations down, had developed a small ritual. He would post his finalization time to the shared board the moment he locked in, then swivel his chair toward my station and watch the clock. By drill 11, he'd started doing it with a cup of something warm in his hand, the posture of a being entirely at leisure. I didn't explain myself. There didn't seem to be much point. What I was doing, across those 18 minutes, was this. I was building a sequence that would not break. The Vekthari coordination system was fast because it was hierarchical. Each vessel got a priority tier and routed accordingly, with the highest value traffic clearing first. It was elegant. It was also brittle in a specific way that I'd noticed during drill 2, when I'd quietly run a secondary pass on Kale Vorath's finalized sequence and found 4 latent collision vectors that the simulation scoring hadn't caught. Because they were conditional, they only materialized if 2 specific lower-tier vessels had to hold position longer than modeled. I hadn't said anything about that either. I'd just noted it, and built my own sequence around the problem. By drill 6, I had a routing matrix that cleared 91% of traffic. 0 collision incidents, confirmed, not modeled, and a fallback branch for every conditional conflict I'd identified. By drill 9, 93%, still 0 confirmed collisions. Fallback branches extended to cover second-order conflicts that I'd mapped from the earlier runs. Each drill, I was slower because each drill I was adding 1 more layer. 18 minutes was not human lag. 18 minutes was the time it took me to finish thinking. Kale Vorath, to his credit, noticed something around drill 8. I caught him looking at my completion percentage, not my time, my percentage, with an expression I didn't have a Vekthari word for. He didn't say anything. He went back to his station and posted his time to the board, and the moment passed. On drill 11, I locked in at 17 minutes and 40 seconds, a personal best. Kale Vorath had his cup raised. Vethalan called the after action. My score went into the file. Someone behind me said in Vekthari, "One day he'll get it under 15. Mild laughter. I wrote my fallback notes in the margin of my routing sheet and said nothing. 41 days later, at 0314 station time, primary coolant coupling on corridor 7 failed without warning. It was not a drill. The cascade came fast. Corridor lock on 7, mirror fault on 3, pressure spike shedding back through the secondary arteries, automatic bulkhead drops on 4 and 9. It was not the exact scenario we'd drilled. It was worse. 16 active docking arms instead of 14. 2 vessels in mid-undock on Arm 6. 1 in emergency hold on Arm 11 with a medical situation aboard. The actual numbers were uglier than any simulation parameter we'd run. Coordination tier went to emergency protocol inside 30 seconds. I will say this for the Vekthari. They did not panic. Vethalan had the room calm and sequencing within a minute. The systems lit up, priority tiers assigned, routing locks initialized. And then, at the 1 minute 50 mark, the conflict alert started. The problem, the specific, conditional, second-order problem I had mapped across 11 drills, was that the Vekthari routing hierarchy assigned priority tiers based on vessel class, and vessel class was registered at embarkation, not at time of emergency. 2 of the vessels on Arm 6 were logged as cargo haulers, but were carrying a passenger overflow from a delayed transit. Their actual evacuation priority was 3 tiers, higher than the system recognized. When those vessels got routed into the lower tier hold position queue, queue length extended past the corridor clearance window for Arm 9. 9's automatic bulkhead timer, working from its own protocol, initiated a close cycle. 3 vessels in Arm 9's approach, priority tier 1, all of them, got no route out. The system had not seen the conflict because the conflict was conditional. It only existed if those 2 specific cargo-registered vessels were carrying passengers, which they were. Kale Vorith's system flagged it and locked. His routing froze, awaiting a resolution input that the protocol didn't have a path for. 3 other coordinators hit similar conditional walls within the next 40 seconds. Each one slightly different, all of them downstream of the same route error. The conflict alerts stacked. Vethalan had 4 locked routing sequences, 68 vessels uncleared, and 22 minutes left on the evacuation window. She looked across the tier. I had locked in at the 1 minute 40 mark. I know, because I'd been watching my own clock. Oral, she said. I pushed my routing sheet across to her side of the shared display. She looked at it for 3 seconds. Then she pushed it to the main board. My sequence ran. It had a branch for the passenger overflow conflict, not because I'd known about those specific vessels, but because I'd mapped the general case during Drill 6 and written a resolution path for any cargo class vessel carrying a passenger manifest that differed from its registration. I hadn't mentioned it. It was in the margin notes, line 7, under conditional class override. The Arm 9 bulkhead held. The 3 priority Tier 1 vessels cleared. The queue resolved. 61 of the 68 uncleared vessels were out before the window closed. The other 7 in confirmed safe positions with breathable air and structural integrity were cleared in the following 14 minutes once the corridor situation stabilized. 0 collisions. 0 casualties. Vethalan sat in her chair for a long time after the all-clear. The room was quiet in a way it hadn't been at the end of any drill. Kale Vorith turned in his chair. He didn't have his cup. He looked at me for a moment, then at the main board, then back at me. "How many drills?" he said. 11, I said. He nodded slowly, which is not a Vekthari gesture. They don't really nod, but he'd been working with humans long, enough that it had gotten into him. He turned back to his station. Vethalan filed the after-action that afternoon. I saw it later, forwarded to my station without comment. Under Coordinator Performance Notes, my entry read, Oral D, sequence finalized 140. 0 conflicts. 0 casualties. Conditional class override, see margin, line 7. She hadn't written human lag. That evening, I updated my routing notes and started the framework for Drill 12. There were 2 second-order conditional conflicts I hadn't fully resolved yet. One involved a class of alien medical vessels that docked with a non-standard magnetic coupling, which occasionally caused a 14-second hold during emergency release. I figured I had time to work it out.